Summer is in full swing, and what is better than jumping on your computer or television to binge watch some Netflix? Hey guys, and welcome to The Celebrity Expert, your number one source for all things TV and celebrities. And with summer 2019 in full swing, we decided to put together the absolute best shows to binge watch in 2019. For this list, we focused mostly on TV shows that have either launched this year or had a new season added on this summer, and we went ahead and put together the best of the best for you. So that being said, let's go ahead and jump into our picks. First up, we have Black Mirror. Now, this new season that launched this summer just a couple of weeks ago was slightly controversial amongst fans, but if you haven't watched Black Mirror yet, the show overall is really great, and each episode offers something completely different along the way. If you wanted to jump into the show and you haven't already checked it out, we strongly recommend jumping in either on Season 3 or Season 4 and just scroll through the episode titles and see one that seems interesting to you. Each episode exists on its own completely. You don't need any history from the previous episodes to get what's going on, which is really nice, and they're pretty much like short movies that are just really focused around unique premises, and that's really cool. The acting and writing is usually pretty great, and some of the episodes will just leave you with your jaw dropped, and that's something really cool. Season 5 recently came out, and there was a special movie called Bandersnatch that came out earlier this year, which was great, and there's just a lot of great things going on with this show. Next, we're looking at Stranger Things 3, which, if you're not already a fan of Stranger Things, now's the perfect time to jump into it. It has a ton of awesome 80s vibes associated with it, and just this really cool science fiction perspective that's really unique, and it's something that has just been so well done with both of the seasons that have come out so far, and they took a pretty big break between seasons 2 and 3 just to make sure the new season was really well crafted. And with this new season coming out on the 4th of July, it's just looking like this show is going to be bigger and better than ever, especially because the cast is so likable, and they're really just all strong actors who are growing in their own field and becoming better actors the more they participate in this show. And we're so excited just to see what twists and turns this new season has, especially because the show does such a great job at developing characters you actually care about. So we're really excited to see what they do with Stranger Things 3, and obviously the show lives up to the hype. If you've watched the show and you couldn't get into it, we strongly recommend you try to push past the first 3 episodes, because it really starts to kick up and get even better, and each new season has a different aesthetic associated with it, so it's a lot to love if you're a fan of just anything either sci-fi or even the 80s. Next, we're looking at Glow Season 3, which is coming out later on this summer, but now would be the perfect time to catch up on the first 2 seasons of this show. It's about women's wrestling, and it seems like a really stray concept or topic to make a Netflix show on, but they definitely made this show with that in mind, that viewers might not really be too familiar with this realm, and it definitely is shaped somewhat like a comedy, but there's a lot of really great drama moments as well. And like we said, you don't have to be a fan of wrestling to like this show. It also has a lot of the 80s aesthetic too, which is cool, but it's definitely its own thing, and it's something that you can love, and it's on a topic you might not know anything about, and that's what we really liked about this show, and that's why the first 2 seasons have done so well. It has great actors, great storytelling, and just a lot of really funny situations that make you wonder what on earth is going on or why you love this show so much. And just give this show a shot, and we promise you won't be disappointed. Trinkets is a new show that just came out and is one of the few brand new shows that we're going to be focusing in on this video, but this show is kind of a teen drama with a lot of comedic elements with it, and it definitely wasn't a show I thought I'd be interested in, but it ended up being really good. Essentially, it has to do with being a kleptomaniac and shoplifting and stealing things, and it's such a unique take on a very weird concept, but they obviously developed it this way so that you can really dive into more who these characters are rather than just sitting around a basic topic or a basic generic subject line. It's really in depth with where they're going with the characters and just these characters trying to find their own identity while also having this underlying plot involving stealing things and dealing with the repercussions of that. That's really great and entertaining at the same time. There's some great funny moments, some serious moments, and if you're just looking for something different that's new and fresh and not one of these existing shows that everyone already talks about, this one is the show to watch. We definitely think that it's done well enough where there'll be a season 2 sometime, and we've really loved what we have seen so far. We also are seeing the finale to Orange is the New Black, which is coming out in late July. Orange is the New Black was the second Netflix original series and definitely paved the way for all of these other shows that have done so well. Now, Orange is the New Black, if you haven't already seen the show, focuses on a character who essentially is more or less innocent, but gets charged for a crime they'd committed nearly a decade earlier, which was a really minor crime, but still has to do about a year in prison. She's definitely not the prison type. And as the show progresses, you start to realize that the woman who doesn't necessarily deserve to be in prison isn't really all that different than a lot of the people who are in prison. And these prisoners honestly just made a few missteps that landed them in such a severe situation like they are when they're in the prison. This show has such an amazing level of character building, and there's so many characters that you just fall in love with as you watch this show. This is also one of those shows that serves as a mix of a comedy and a drama, and it works really well here. There's a ton of really funny moments. Now, some of the seasons aren't as good as other seasons, specifically seasons 3 and seasons 5, but push through those seasons because the other seasons that kind of surround those seasons are much better. And it's just kind of the slower moments before the show really picks up in pace and some crazier things start to happen. We are really sad to see that this show is ending, but we think it's probably a good time as really this show has run its course, and we're excited to see a fulfilled conclusion, which we hopefully will see later this summer. Then we have another show that serves kind of also in this in-between comedy and drama show, but it's Working Moms Season 2, which is coming out, but you could watch the first season now. This show is actually a Canadian-based show, but actually Netflix has a lot of these shows and they end up being really, really well received in other countries too. Oddly enough, I've watched this show and I've seen several episodes of it, and it's actually really funny. It essentially just looks at a group of mothers and it just follows their lives as they're just kind of these different types of people. They're so dramatic in how all of these mothers interact with their coworkers, their children, and each other, that it just leads to some hilarious moments and some serious stuff along the way. And honestly, the writing is so unique and the concept is so unique, and some of the moments are just so over the top and extreme that it just makes you honestly be surprised with just how crazy this show gets for what the topic itself is on. There were some moments where I'm like, did not expect to see that happen, yet the show goes there, and it's definitely an eye-opening experience. Next, we have Dark Season 2, which is a German-based Netflix show, so if you're not a fan of either reading subtitles or listening with a dub, this one might not be for you, but honestly, this show is so underrated. Essentially, without giving too much away, this show is just a part of a trilogy series that's coming out on Netflix. It has some really deep psychological science fiction stuff going on that really just keeps you on your toes wondering where this show is going to go next. It starts off with a bang and there's just so many twists and turns and unexpected things, and it just makes you uneasy watching it the whole time, but you care so much about what's going on and where the show is going that you can't help but to watch. And that's what's great about this show. And season 2 has just launched, which means we're in the in-between before the final season's going to come out and wrap some of these things up. And honestly, the places season 2 goes is just so much larger than what we saw in season 1. Honestly, try this show out even if you're not a fan of having to read subtitles or listening to a dub. It's still really good. And while those are the main shows we want to talk about, we have a couple other shows we want to give quick honorable mentions to that are also worth the time if you haven't already checked them out. 3% is a really unique concept where essentially most of the world is living in poverty, and only 3% of the population who pass a series of tests get to move on to this virtual paradise where everyone lives happily. And there's just a ton of things that come out of that, and the new season for that is coming out this summer, which we're really excited about. If you're a fan of horses, check out the show Free Rein, which just has its 3rd season coming out, which essentially follows a 15-year-old girl from Los Angeles who goes to spend the summer in an island just off the coast of England, and essentially she bonds with this mysterious horse. It's kind of an interesting concept, and it's been pretty popular so far since this show's launch. And finally, this last one, we don't have an official release date. It's speculated it's going to be late summer, maybe early fall, or even into later fall. But we are looking to see the series finale of Fuller House, which will be the conclusion of the sequel show that came out years after the sitcom Full House aired. These episodes, if you liked Full House, you'll probably like this show. They're quick, short, and a bit heartfelt, which is pretty nice. They've brought up some interesting plot lines, and it'll be cool to see how some of those wrap up. And then this show will be laid to rest afterwards until maybe in another 10-20 years, they'll do another reboot called Fullest House. Who knows? But those are our top picks for the best shows to binge watch in 2019. Let us know which one you're the most excited for in the comments down below, and be sure to subscribe to The Celebrity Expert for more videos like this, and we'll see you all next time with a brand new video. Bye guys.